Let us travel back in time. We go far, far back. We journey to a time before our cities, before our farms, before the written word. We arrive in a land that will one day be called the Iberian Peninsula. Today is 2025-1009, but we are now standing hundreds of thousands of years in the past. The air is clean and cold. The landscape is vast and untamed. Great plains stretch out before us, covered in tough grasses that sway in the constant wind. In the distance, jagged mountains tear at the sky, their peaks often capped with snow. This is a world shaped by ice and shaped by sun, a world of raw, powerful beauty. Here, the sounds are those of nature alone. The cry of a soaring eagle, the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth, the distant rumble of a herd of wild horses. There are no roads, no fences, no permanent structures to interrupt the flow of the land. Who were these first people? They were not like us. Their bodies were built for a different world, a world of physical hardship and constant movement. The earliest arrivals we know of are called Homo antecessor, pioneer man. Their fossil remains deep in the caves of Atapuerca, some of the oldest in Europe. They lived here more than 800,000 years ago. A unique mix of modern features and ancient features. Strong bodies, prominent brow ridges, faces surprisingly flat, more like our own than other early humans. Later, much later, another group made Iberia home. The Neanderthals, successful, highly adaptable, thriving across Europe and Asia for hundreds of thousands of years. The story of these early people is inseparable from the tools they made. Stone was their most important resource. It was their technology. With a simple piece of flint or quartzite, they could create a world of possibilities. A sharp edge could butcher a large animal, cut through thick hides, shape a piece of wood. Making a stone tool was a skill passed down through generations. It required knowledge of the right kind of rock, a steady hand, and a clear idea of the desired shape. The process began by striking one stone, the hammerstone, against another, the core. With each precise blow, a sharp flake would break off. These flakes were the simplest of tools, perfect for slicing and cutting. The hand axe is one of the most iconic tools of this long era. It was a teardrop-shaped stone, carefully worked on both sides to create a sharp, continuous edge leading to a point. It was the all-purpose tool of its day. It could be used for chopping wood, digging for roots, and heavy butchery work. Holding one, you can feel its weight and balance and imagine the skill it took to wield it. For the first Iberians, life was a constant search for food. Survival depended on a deep knowledge of the natural world. They were expert hunters and gatherers. Their lives were dictated by the seasons and the movement of animals. Large game was a crucial source of food, providing meat, fat, and hides. They hunted red deer, wild horses, bison, and the enormous aurochs, the wild ancestor of modern cattle. Hunting these powerful animals was a dangerous and collaborative effort. It required courage, planning, and effective weapons. Wooden spears tipped with sharpened stone points. Evidence from animal bones at campsites shows exactly what they were eating. They also ate edible plants, roots, seeds, nuts, and seasonal foods such as acorns, chestnuts, and wild berries. They fished in rivers and collected shellfish along the coasts. This varied diet was key to their success. Life was not static. These early people were constantly on the move. They followed a seasonal rhythm, a pattern of migration across the land. They might spend the winter in a sheltered cave, in a low-lying valley protected from the worst of the cold. In spring and summer, they might move into the highlands, following herds to fresh grazing. They traveled light, tools, weapons, and knowledge. They held a mental map of a huge territory. They knew where to find flint, where deer crossed rivers, and which caves offered the best shelter in storms. Many sites sit at strategic viewpoints over valleys and migratory routes. They were moving with purpose, following an ancient and well-understood pattern of life. In northern Spain, there is a place unlike any other, the Sierra de Atapuerca, limestone hills riddled with caves carved by underground rivers over more than 1 million years. These caves preserved the bones of animals and the early humans who lived and sometimes died here. One deep shaft, Cima de los Huesos, the Pit of Bones, holds remains of at least 28 individuals. They lived around 430,000 years ago and are considered early Neanderthals. The bones lie jumbled at the bottom. Scientists still debate whether bodies were intentionally deposited. At Grandolina, in layers over 800,000 years old, the first remains of Homo antecessor were found. Alongside simple tools and butchered animal bones, some human bones bear cut marks made by stone tools. This suggests cannibalism. The reasons remain unclear: survival or other social meanings. Atapuerca fossils reveal age, sex, health, disease, injury, and a physically demanding life. Layered sediments read like a book with many chapters of human evolution in Iberia. As time moves forward, evidence of symbolism appears. People began to make art. In caves such as Altamira and El Castillo, paintings of animals fill deep, hard-to-reach chambers. Bison, deer, horses, and wild goats are rendered with skill, using the wall's curves to suggest form. Small signs of symbolism include beads of perforated shells, eagle talons as pendants, and the use of red ochre. The story of the first Iberians is not a tale of grand monuments or mighty empires. It is a quieter, more fundamental story. For hundreds of thousands of years, through dramatic shifts in climate, these small groups survived. They adapted, learned, and passed down tool-making, hunting, and fire from one generation to the next. Their legacy is written in the land, in tools buried in the soil and faint traces in the dark of caves. We know their story through patient, meticulous science. Archaeologists, geologists, and paleoanthropologists piece together layers of evidence. From many small findings, a lost world takes shape. At cave entrances and over Atapuerca's hills, we connect with this ancient past. We stand where they stood and feel the same wind. These people are our distant ancestors, not only biologically, but in spirit. Their struggles and innovations laid the groundwork for all that followed. They are the first chapter of our own story. They faced a demanding world with simple tools and ingenuity, building lives, raising families, and shaping complex cultures. In stone, bone, and pigment, their echoes endure. By studying and preserving these places, we honor their memory and learn about ourselves.